Okay, so by this point, if you watched last week, you're probably thinking, this is intriguing, or this guy's lost his mind. In either case, yes. So one of the things I'm doing right now is taking apart the salt and pepper shakers. Now I'm taking apart each individually, taking out the pins out of both halves, and then I'm cutting the pins off. Now the reason for that is that if I take out each circuit, basically each half that matches, I won't cross anything, I won't get anything miswired, I'll do it one by one. And the pins themselves I'm cutting off, but then I'm going to save them. These same pins are also used elsewhere in other connectors, so don't throw them away. You might actually come up for a use later on, and they're actually reusable, and it'll save you time for having to go buy some, and if you need some in a pinch. Now a lot of the wiring, what I'm doing is taking it apart and then I'm retracing everything else. So what I'm taking off is retracing it back from the engine to the ECM connector. So if I have my base connector here, what you see is a bundle of wires this way. Now each of these is what goes to the salt and pepper shakers, or in this case the salt. So I'm just tracing it back out and singling it out of the ECM connector. Once I've done that, I then have 6 wires here out of 8. 8 go from the 7 and 8 go between the harnesses or the injectors. And I've singled these out so that I've taped them. If you notice, this is blue painter's tape, about every 12 inches. What you're starting to see is that I will start to get a harness based on routing. Now, if you remember, this hole right here used to be a wiring harness grommet coming out on the 4-cylinder car. I don't know if I need that circuit, but I definitely don't need the grommet. Now, the ECM harness will go through this, and the connector is going to fit, and then the grommet fits also. So I'm going to make this my ECM going in, and I will go around the HVAC box. So this hole here that I was planning to use is going to be welded up, plus the condensation drain will be welded up once I have everything figured out. Now, the sad thing about that, I'm not going to put a mil-spec connector in today. I'm just going to reuse the OEM grommet and make things work and make everything clean. So with the ECM then going down through that hole, what that means is that I'm going to have to move it from the dash side, where it would normally be on the aero cars, and I'm going to put it under the front seat. So once I put the seat in as a temporary, just to kind of see how everything fits, what I'll probably do is extend the harness from somewhere around the firewall down under the seat. In order to do that, what I'm going to do is wire everything kind of backwards. So the end point is going to then wire back into the ECM. What that's going to do is make my connector kind of have a lot of different length wiring in order to make it work. I want this to be the focus where it's pretty. Then I'll extend the harness down under the seat and make it work. That's all going to be covered. Don't worry about it. Make it functional, but make this look like it's supposed to be. So things that are too long now will be tightened up in here, pulled back down into the firewall, and on the inside of the car is where you make it functional. But make it pretty out here. Okay, so now you can kind of see all the branches tied together. So if I show you the injector harnesses, you can see that going to the distributor, all that is tied together. Now you've got a line coming over here, which goes to the coil. So I need to drill a hole for that because it doesn't exist on this car, and extend that. You can all see going back through there. I'll probably put the sensor here, something like that, in that approximate place. Now on the passenger side, you can see also, again, the ejector harness looks pretty good. I've got the EGR here and the TPS. Now these are tied together as a ground, so I'm going to leave that alone for the moment. You can see all this comes together. Now a lot of this honestly is excess length. So if you see back down in here, all of that is excess length that will be pulled back in the car, but I've got it taped up now so that you can at least see just how it kind of flows. Now it's all going to come in, and then of course it's going to come up here and into this. So this will be tied up eventually. It's going to be tied up under the sill ledge, and I'm going to put a couple holes in there for some pieces to go in there. Now what you don't see is all of this that needs to be pulled back in the car. So you've got harnesses for fuel pump relays and that. You've also got this one coming down in here that goes to the engine itself. So that'll be kind of pulled back, lengthened as needed. And then of course you have your main ECM harness here. So at this point, I feel pretty comfortable with the engine harness the way it is. Now, of course, everything's an approximate length, but that is all going to be adjusted once I get everything run into the car. And of course, once it's all pulled through, the grommet is now a two-piece or kind of a piece and a half where I can split up over and set it to the certain length and the place I need it, so it's all going to fit very well. At this point, the biggest thing I need to do is get the engine taken back out of the car. I need to get the harness out of the way. The brake lines I'll probably just leave alone for the moment because they're really not in the way. And then I need to get the HVAC and the condensation drain in the firewall finished. So again, I need to cut a piece from each of those, weld it in, and then repaint all that stuff. I think I have some additional holes that were there for the 4-cylinder, and I'm not going to need them for the V8 car. But I don't think I'll know that until I get every last little piece in there. So I've still got to run the battery cable from the back to the front, figure out where I'm going to put my starter solenoid, and a bunch of other little pieces like that. So more work to come, but for this time, y'all thought I was crazy, didn't you? And here's proof. I am crazy. See you next time.